This is the first sessions of Techneev at 75. Of in this new year, the first session of that, and the fifth sessions of. So I think today is the celebrations of the success of the NIF, National Innovation Foundations, how they have strengthened the need of the community through the local innovations, and as we have seen here, like we have interacted with these three, the communities from Nagaland, like and also from this is from Manipur, and also from Chhattisgarh. And also, like one thing I just want to mention here, today is the Swami Vivekananda's birthday of 159th birthday, and National Youth Day also. Probably, Swami Vivekananda would be really very happy to see a young IPS officer of the country is doing a different type of policing for the young, the district authority of a young district in, the Nagaland, and she is, doing the policing the traditional way of, not with the lathi, but with the danda of development. And that's a very unique experience what we have in this, the model what we are looking for, the Indian model of the sustainable development, which will be driven from the bottom, from the like within the community. And in order to develop this model, like as you know, like what we are trying to look into this, the local level innovation systems to link with the formal innovation system or the national innovation system. And to discuss with that in this third sessions, we have like with us the two Padma Shris, Padma Shri Professor Anil Gupta. And I think Professor Anil Gupta, though he doesn't need any the introduction, but the Professor Anil Gupta is almost the synonymous with the formalizations of the India's the grassroots innovation movement. And he is not only the foundation of the Honeybee Network, he is the initiators of the National Innovation Foundation, where he's currently the executive vice chair. And also, he was a full-time professor in the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, where he is superannuated in 2017, and was awarded a Padma Bhushan for his contributions to the management educations. And also with us, Padma Shri Nandarao B. Marak, who is a 61-year-old pioneering farmer from the West Garo Hills, who first planted the Karimunda variety of the black pepper, which produces the unique the black peppers there. And he began a farming with an investment of the rupees 10,000, and which has created a huge return by going to this organic farming. And as you know, that the currently government is giving the more focus on this organic farming. So with us, Padma Shri Nandarao B. Marek, and also with us, Dr. Vivek Kumar, the scientist and regional coordinator of the Eastern region of NIF, and Dr. Nitin Maurya, the scientist and regional coordinator of Northeastern region of NIF. And also, I would like to, I don't know whether Dr. Pritpal Kaur is there. I would like to invite her, and we will discuss here that how we have heard about the strength of the local innovation, how these local innovations can be linked with the national innovation systems, and to develop a unique the Indian model. And I think with us there is no other, the best persons available, not in India but in the world, Professor Anil Gupta. And I would like to start with Professor Anil Gupta's directions. Professor Gupta, this Techneev, what we have started Techneev at the 75 as a part of the Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav. It's not about the story of the technology. It's all about the story of the techno empowerment, what has happened, at the grassroots level. We have seen the technology has a role of bringing the equity, and the distance of the equity has been brought in the Nagaland and the distant town when the science and technological interventions through NIF, through Dr. Kaur has gone to the community, and they are now making the changes. The woman empowerment in the true way is not in the definitions, but in the true way it's taking place. So what is your like the margdarshans? I know, like, you are the authority on this subject, but how we can link this the grassroots level innovation systems with the formal national innovation systems, and can develop a unique Indian model, and can showcase what I always believe, like, we can really give the world the sustainable development model in that sense. Professor Gupta, please. Sir, I think you have to unmute, sir. You have to unmute. It is.
So thank you so much. I said it is very nice to connect again after several years. Thank you. And I heard Kinkini Das Gupta's wonderful discussion with the innovators, which was very, very engaging and very insightful. She was trying to bring out the best among the people who she was talking to, and I appreciate that as well. You might be happy to know that yesterday there was a very interesting article by Shobita Parthasarathy, who is a professor at Wisconsin, suggesting to US government that they need to set up an organization like National Innovation Foundation. Now, this is really very gratifying for me to hear that one of the mecca of innovations, so far as the large corporate innovations is concerned, is realizing that they have missed something fundamental in their country. And this is a voice which is coming out very forcefully. Shobita Parthasarathy's article you will easily find on the net. I have also tweeted it, and you will be able to find this is very interesting. Now, having said that, let me also mention that India is the only country where the national innovation system includes the grassroots innovation. If you look at the science, technology, innovation policy draft, which is there on the site of your ministry, it has highlighted in a very significant way the role of grassroots innovations in empowering, in engaging, and in learning, linking, and leveraging, if I use that word, the phrase, for the ideas of common people. But the fact remains that the point that you indicated, that how do we link formal R&D system with the grassroots innovation system? So there were three things that we had tried, but they need to get more momentum. We had, first of all, signed an MOU between NIF and CSIR, NIF and ICMR, NIF and ICAR. There were three MOUs which were signed, essentially to build this bridge that you're talking about. But by MOUs alone, you cannot build the bridge. So you need to work together with the scientists and help them understand that their good ideas can come from anywhere, and particularly from grassroots. One of the most charitable things that I would say Honeybee Network can take pride over the last 35 years is that not one scientist from the formal sector charged for his or her time while validating or value-adding in the grassroots innovation. That's something we are very proud of. I think the scientists of this country deserve full appreciation and grateful thanks and appreciation from the network as well as from the NIF, that they did not charge for their time. In many cases, they did not charge even for consumables. So one positive thing that Indian model offers is that large number of almost every scientist in public or private sector has been willing to help in this cause, but it has not yet become part of the institutionalized system. So what are the four things that we can do to institutionalize? One, every student should generally they take a project. Engineering students take a final year project, agriculture students do Rabe program. Can they include in the curriculum working on at least one unmet need and one innovation during their curriculum of undergraduate or postgraduate education? So this is one thing that if it is incorporated as a essential step of learning for the young people, and very rightly you mentioned today Vivekananda's birthday. You know what he had said? He said, you just take one idea, breathe it, live it, dream it, think it. All the time, if you are obsessed with that idea, you can make a difference. And I think this time has come when our young people should take one innovation and one unmet need and try to pursue that passionately. Second thing that we can do is that I was teaching a course to CSIR through ACSIR about 350 PhD students in one batch, 250 in another batch, all CSIR labs. And I was trying to help them to identify the unmet need in their domain and try to see whether they can address it. Now, there are a lot of challenges in Northeast. That the logistical challenges there, the challenge of shelf life. Our friend was mentioning that many times you have apple, but you logistics transportation is not possible. Then how do you create the market for them? So how do we increase shelf life of fruits and vegetable is a very, very important top level problem of Northeast. And we need to really give it priority in the formal sector. Various labs must be given a challenge award. So third thing is issue a challenge award. Gandhiji had announced in 1929, 24th July 1929, he announced an award of 7,700 pounds, which was 1 lakh at that time. Today will be 10 crore to redesign the spinning wheel. And the peti charkha, the box spinning wheel that you had, which Gandhiji used in 1931 in Yarwada jail, where you move it horizontally and spin the yarn. Now, that came out of this process. So can't we announce competition for one unmet need or one challenge of grassroots communities in each of the northeastern district, in each of the north district block, so that in time-bound manner, solutions can come either from grassroots or from formal sector. But there should be attractive award, maybe 20 lakh, maybe 50 lakh, because that solution will help to boost the economy of the region. Fourth point is that, and this is where this is extremely important, that risk capital. There is when the logistics are poor, the terrain is very difficult, the failure rate will also be very high. It is admirable what NIF has done with the apple variety. I mean, and Manipur has come up on the apple map of the country, which was not thinkable earlier. Now, if that has happened because of the thousands of saplings that have been distributed, surely some would have died or some will die. Now, the question is, when a private entrepreneur comes in the market and if he gives them, he has to have ability to absorb the losses. He has to absorb the losses in transportation, losses in the viability, and losses in the entire value chain. So we need to have risk fund which will absorb the losses of the entrepreneur, and we should know that out of 100, maybe 70 will fail, but 30 might succeed, 20 might succeed, and that kind of high failure rate will mean that we are really genuinely taking risk. Lastly, I would say that we should also try that and understand that in many states of Northeast, particularly Nagaland, Manipur, and many others, women play a very important role. If you go to vegetable market in Manipur, you will find all the shopkeepers there, all these vendors, sellers are women. I have seen it myself. And similarly, there are many others states where women's role is very important. Nagaland, you have Mothers Organization, which is very powerful and very strong. But we have not given them enough entrepreneurial support as they deserve. And I think it will be useful if we can also provide special support for women enterprises, women entrepreneurs, who can therefore be encouraged to take more risk than what is conventionally possible given their limited means. And we should try to provide them logistical support so they can also try to get full benefit of that. I think with some of these suggestions, we will be able to galvanize the economy of Northeast much better than what we have done so far. But what NIF has done is to break the ground, to demonstrate that there are a large number of innovations in the region. We have done Shodh Yatras in all the states of Northeast, and I can say with pride that we have discovered so many innovations in the process. I remember in Nagaland, there was a cardamom dryer, a big cardamom dryer, and he was facing a lot of difficulty in distributing heat uniformly in the entire chamber. Now, that was a challenge where formal system can help. Scientists who are expert in dynamic combustion physics can help them to make sure what kind of channel they should use so that the heat is distributed uniformly. So there are some very precise challenges. There are specific diseases in orange. There are specific diseases in cardamom and some other crops which are affecting the region, for which solution has to be found and scientists have to be engaged with. So, and the wine making is a very recent enterprise which is emerging in Mizoram and many other states, good quality red wine is being made there, but that can be done better. So we need enology lab. There is no enology department in the entire bioscience system of Northeast. So we need to create that enology lab if we really want wine industry to pick up in Northeast. So there are many such areas where new S&T investments are called for, and I'm sure Dr. Datta, under your leadership, this program that is connecting society and science will reach new heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. I think like what you proposed, like many of them, like as you are like very unique and really like we need to inculcate it into our program level in order to do that. And one thing what you have they indicated, and I believe that that is the way the Indian science and technology research development needs to reorient, because generally our research and development is more oriented towards the global knowledge development. But really the time has come now, our problem solutions towards the large the formal R&D sector needs to be oriented. And that's one of the like the objective of this the science society Setu, what we are trying to build up, that as you told that vinology, like really that there is a huge opportunity in that, like similarly like we know in our some of the tribals there are unique diseases, like that, and we need to have a research like towards that. Similarly, even towards like we are discussing it about the compost and these things, but there is a science behind it, how you can improve it. And that's the way what you were saying. I think my idea is, as you were saying, the entrepreneurship should be developed among these people, because people in general in the Northeast are entrepreneurial, especially the women. Can we have like that type of community level laboratory which can standardize the products and can make it the market, because the market market has its own language, it needs standardization, they have to compete, because most of the cases what we have seen, like from my experience of seed, what we have seen, we are supporting a lot of productizations, and we are very happy that at the local level they're getting engaged. But the moment I go into the the large market, they are not in the the shelf. They are basically somebody else is dominating. Unless and until we can make them compatible to be in the shelf, like we cannot say that we are. And I see the science and technology research, science and technology translation, entrepreneurships as an the total value chain, which needs to be looked at in a totality, and has to convert into our language related in the different different parts of of India, because our uniqueness is that we have so much of the spatial variations. And other thing, Professor Gupta, probably like this is, I just want your suggestions on that. You see, like till now in our country, whatever the classifications we have made in terms of these resources are all supply driven. Like we have agroecological zones, we have land use, land cover copy. Time has come, probably like now we need our livelihood system mapping, which will give you the demand situations. Like suppose madam like Dr. Kaur is doing so much of good things, but at a like when you do at an individual level, we cannot upscale it, because we do not have a system level scaling up, and that can be done only when we know the demand scenario at a system level. So like my idea is that we should have also start a national level, the livelihood system mapping, which identify the weakest link of the livelihood and the strongest link of the micro, because the total planning is going on not based on a very systemic basis, and that should be the basis of the India model, like which will give us to upscale and give it to the the nations. Probably like I will request you, like your comment whether this thinking is right or not from your the plethora of experience you have.
You're very right that we need to map not just the livelihood that exists, but a livelihood that are possible. Now, how do we map the livelihood that are possible? By looking at three things: underutilized resources, unutilized resources, and excessively utilized resources. Excessively utilized resources will lead to extinction, will lead to biodiversity loss. Underutilized resources mean that we have enough resources. For example, in Manipur, you have sufficient, a large amount of lemongrass growing in the forest. Nobody uses it. Similarly, in different parts of Northeast, you have different medicinal plant, different. I mean, Dr. Vivek can elaborate that because he has been with many of the Shodhyatras. Our next Shodhyatra is going to be in West Sikkim. So, underutilized biodiversity can be optimally utilized and value can be added to that. And third is, of course, unutilized. There are a lot of plants which have been used for healing purposes, for spices. There are tubers. There is a very interesting concept in Western Sikkim, Lum district, called as pocket wine. Now, this is a tuber which gets fermented and has a little bit of alcohol in it, which then people keep in their pockets when they get tired. They eat that and that get a little bit of energy flow. So there are very interesting, novel, unheard of processes in the food and beverages sector, and particularly fermented food sector. Northeast has tremendous richness in fermented food sector. Now, can that be dried? Can we have dryer and can we then process them so that there can be a international market, not just national market? So to do this all, what you said earlier is very relevant, which is to have mobile labs. We need to have mobile labs which will do testing, characterization. See, there are so many tubers and other plants which have never been characterized properly. And with the result that if you just take the case of flaxseed used to sell 100 rupees a quintal. Now it sells 100 rupees for 100 gram. Why? Because it was found to be a very good source of omega-3 and 6 fatty acid. And vegetarians are short of it, so therefore it became a functional food. Now, nothing has been done. Same product, same flaxseed. Just by characterization, we have added value. Now, there is a huge scope of characterization of indigenous fruits, vegetables, and converting indigenous knowledge into the scientific knowledge by using this facility. So I would strongly urge that there is a need for creating a network of labs, both fixed and mobile. Mobile are more important. They can go to communities, take up the local biodiversity, do the analysis there, and then move to the next place, whichever are accessible at least. So that would be very important. Similarly, we need to have mobile workshops also. We have been discussing that earlier in webinar, that not everybody can afford to have fabrication facilities. So maybe when a cluster of innovators pile up their demand, they can requisite a lab and their workshop will go there for a week or 10 days, and then they can do all their prototyping and other things there. So we need to really create mobile facilities if we want to unleash the characterization and analysis of the biodiversity-based entrepreneurial possibilities, and mechanical and other innovation, electronic innovations that are possible. Nitin will tell you that Anant Tadar, a student we met in Arunachal Pradesh, had developed goggles for the blind so that they can sense obstacles in a very remote area from Arunachal Pradesh where he would not have found any electronic part or anything. So there are genius like that in the region. There are tremendously rich, knowledge-rich people in this region, but they have not got sufficient guidance. In fact, Anand's picture and his innovation was put on the UNICEF's page in New York. They had appreciated so much. So I would say that there is a potential in this region. A lot of innovators exist, innovative ideas exist. And with these mobile facilities that you mentioned earlier, I have no doubt will give a fillip to the momentum, will give the momentum to this area in terms of developing new livelihood opportunities.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. It's always been, like the encouraging and the privilege, like to listen to the plethora of this experience from which, like, even a small drop of it is a new seed for our thinkings, and I think to take it forward.